Welcome to the November 3rd, 2020 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives, not your lives. I am your host, vysethebold. Too late for that. Vysethebold, and this is...
Before I identify myself, did not stick the landing.
The
streak is
Lotus,
broken.
We're on a recorded line. You better...
Lotus Prince. Oh, jeez. Oh, I hope they don't hear that.
We are on a recorded line.
And despite this podcast coming out on November 3rd, we are recording it on November 1st. Happy All Hallows Day, everyone.
Or Day of the Dead, right?
I hope that things are post-spooky.
There are a couple Dia de los Muertos video games, so don't discount that.
Grim Fandango, for one.
And Guacamelee.
No, only Grim Fandango.
Okay.
I have not played Guacamelee, but I heard it was great.
Yeah, I've only played the first one, and I loved it. I really, really loved it. What was that really good barb in Grim Fandango?
It's at the very beginning.
You don't have muscles or tendons, but you still don't shut up, right?
Yeah. Because it starts off at the Day of the Dead celebration, and there's a skeleton. Everyone in the game's a skeleton, and there's a clown folding balloons, and he's just muttering about his carpal tunnel syndrome acting up. And you're like, well, you don't have tendons. And he's like, yeah, well, you don't have a tongue, but that doesn't seem to shut you up. It's freaking great.
That's brilliant.
It's one of my favorite jokes in the game. It's right at the beginning.
Yeah, no, that one's really good. So, a lot actually happened this week. So, and a lot of surprise stuff. So, I do want to get going. I also want to, say that I did have a really happy Halloween. This was like one of the best Halloweens around, despite the quarantine and such. But I just had a fun time. I watched a lot.
Trick or treating was arguably better this year than it ever has been. Like, the downside is you can't open your door to see the cool costumes, but the upside is you don't have to open your door at all. If you want to go costume hunting, then go outside. And like, a lot of people in our neighborhood had tables with little individually wrapped bags of like a couple of things of candy, so kids would just grab those. So everybody got to trick or treat and get the candy, and nobody had to open the door. Like, if you want to go out and see people, you just do that. It's like, why hadn't we been doing this the entire time?
Yeah, and also, like, every single kid we saw was either a Minecraft person, a Fortnite person, or like a Marvel person. So like, all of your like stuff that you were harangued in high school for, the people in their mid-30s.
Everyone's a New York Comic-Con cosplayer now.
Yeah. Everybody who was considered a nerd back in the 90s and 2000s and 80s, you should feel legitimized. All those kids.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I love the stuff that you used to love. So, but I had a good time. I mean, we had a couple people over, and did a socially distanced kind of party thing. But it was a blast. We just had a good time watching Hocus Pocus and Addams Family on Freeform, and just had a really good time. Both Addams Family's movies, those are bangers.
Those movies are untouchable. Those are perfection.
Usually the sequels aren't really that great.
The sequels arguably better.
No, Addams Family's Values might be better. Yeah, it's
kind of tough, but like, it's so good.
Well, what's good about the second one is you take the outside of their house is arguably more terrifying than inside their house. Because,
inside it's just a loving family and that's it. Although they do have some weird fucked up stuff, like the bear rug that bites you or whatever.
Well, their house is obviously like full of creepy, dead bodies and all that kind of stuff. But going to that summer camp is like fucking insane. Like that summer camp is way worse than anything.
All I wanted to do was read. Not on my time, Four Eyes. Snatches the book out of his hand. That's like the funniest part.
But yeah, no, we just had a really, really good time, and I made ribs today, so it was excellent. It tasted really good. I could have had barbecue sauce on the side there for you, Lotus.
Probably should have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched a couple of episodes of something just with a friend of mine over Discord, and then I had Mr. Ryu over, and we played a little bit of Little Hope. That is the first time, by the way, I've seen one of my friends in person in over half a year. Feels good, man.
I was gonna say, the Little Hope was released this week. We could actually go over that real quick since you mentioned
Yeah,
it.
why not?
Yeah, Little Hope is the new Dark Pictures anthology game following Man of Medan. So this is the second one, right?
Yeah, not that there's a chronology, it's just another story,
themes.
but like they're thematically in there. And if they had thought of making the Dark Pictures thing back when they made Until Dawn totally could have been in there. They're all the same kind of thing. What makes Little Hope interesting is that the game starts with a bus crash, and it's your group of 5 characters in the middle of nowhere, like just on a street in incredibly heavy fog. And like that's a Silent Hill setup, but this is an Until Dawn style gameplay, so that's extremely scary considering how jump scare heavy these games are.
Not only that, but this game also contains a full trailer for the third game, House of Ashes. So
yeah, that's not surprising. Man of Medan had a full trailer for Little Hope.
That's awesome.
And when you beat the game, the curator guy, the guy you see between bits of gameplay, he just straight up talks about, oh, maybe we'll meet again, Little Hope. So, like, I'm assuming Little Hope's going to end similarly. Like, when you see him go to his bookshelf, well, here is a book for us to take a look at. I didn't think anything of it with Man of Medan, but with Little Hope, he's got this bookshelf full of books, but there are 4 conspicuous books, and he grabs the second one, and the one to the left is like a picture of a boat on the spine, and the second one is a picture of this little like wooden or wicker doll that features prominently in the game. So that's the second one. There's gonna be 2 more. So I'm like, even though I haven't even beaten the game yet, I just started it a little while ago. I'm barely into it. I'm already excited about the sequels, or you know what I mean, the future releases.
Sure. Well, I think this is a really great niche that they've fallen into, because they're $30 games.
Something like that. Yeah, they know what they're doing. Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, they're launching a bunch like in the same engine and everything.
Yeah,
a bunch of
and they look gorgeous.
Smaller titles, and they're quality for what they are, and they're really good.
If you know what you're getting into, then you're gonna have a good time. Mm-hmm. The only problem is if you want to replay the game, like the entire game is basically an unskippable cutscene, so you have to be aware of that. You can't skip dialogue because you don't know if there's gonna be a prompt in the middle of it or anything.
Yeah, it's like watching a movie or whatever, right?
One thing I will shout out, though, that is new about Little Hope is, you know how in Until Dawn, and I don't know if you've seen Man of Medan, but in both of those games, you know how you always have to have your fingers, like, twitching, like, at the ready, at the controller, because, press X! Little Hope does something new, where a prompt for the prompt comes up. Like, a little symbol comes up that indicates in like in literally 1 second there's going to be a button prompt, so you're not taken completely by surprise, because there were definitely moments in both games, both of the first 2, that you're engrossed in the cutscene, then you're like, fuck, because it's not even because you had bad reflexes, you just had no warning at all. So this time you get warning, like button. So it's pretty nice. I like that.
Nice. Well, I want to get back into those as soon as I catch up on some of the games that I've been playing.
Yeah,
but,
and again, the beauty of it is you could spoil reveals and plot elements, but you can't spoil who lives and dies, because it could be anywhere from none of them to all of them.
Yeah, that's up to your gameplay and choices, right?
Yep.
So that's awesome, and I'm really happy for them. I hope those are doing well, because they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, they are.
Good. Well, I guess we'll get to the top of the news items for this week. So Nintendo, out of the blue, came up with a Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase, the last of these for the year, and I think this is just for the partner showcase. So showcases. So I think we still may have chances for their own Nintendo Direct, but this is for third-party games that they're showing a spotlight on, and there's some really good stuff in here. A bunch of it is like stuff we already knew about, but like had more detailed trailers, and some of this stuff is out like right now, which is cool about these things. Is they kind of like put the spotlight on games that they are releasing right as the direct happens. So
that's
cool.
A clever idea, because announcing a game's coming out like 6 months from now, people might forget the exact date. But if you do a direct, see this game, you can get it right now. Like, it's a lot easier for more people to just do it.
Yeah. So off the top, they did a trailer for Bravely Default 2 and some of its classes. I am not a gigantic fan of this series, but I know there are a lot of people that really do like it.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of the spiritual successor to For Heroes of Light. Yeah, I mean, it is the traditional Final Fantasy angle on RPGs from Square Enix. Basically, when they have they've eschewed pretty much any sort of turn-based combat. So in their main Final Fantasy games. So this is where you would go for the classic kind of gameplay. But yeah, I mean, it is very charming and well put together. I will put it, put that up in in its high regard. And they came out with a demo that apparently has like save and transfer ability, so you'll be able to pick up on the full game.
I do very much appreciate stuff like that, because I try, like, this actually solves my problem, but I usually try actively avoiding demos, because what's the point? They just have to play it again. But if you carry over the save data, then no, you're just playing a little bit early.
Yeah, exactly. And you can really get a sense for. Also, you get like the worst part of the game out of the way. Like RPGs, getting started is probably the worst part.
Well, no, that's true, but it depends on the demo, because sometimes demos are like, take a look at this crazy boss fight, so it's one of the better parts of the game. But for stuff like this, it's like the first 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, I mean, but you get to know the characters and all that stuff.
Yes,
so that's pretty cool. The next thing that they showed was Story of the Seasons: Pioneers of Olive Town. Do you know what Story of Seasons is?
That's like the real Harvest Moon, right?
Correct.
Because like the games that are now called Harvest Moon are not made by the original Harvest Moon devs. They were like the name was taken over by somebody else, and from what I've heard, they just aren't as good. So Story of Seasons is like real Harvest Moon. It's kind of like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is Castlevania, even though it's not called Castlevania, whereas real Castlevania just doesn't feel the same because Ego's not working on it anymore.
So the original Harvest Moon was a Story of Seasons game, and it was localized as Harvest Moon. And then Natsume was like, "Okay, well, we're not going to." They either had a falling out or said, "Hey, we can make this without you. Why should we license it? So we'll make our own sequel and just call it Harvest Moon because we own Harvest Moon as the name."
Yeah.
And then Story of Seasons people went out and just continued making their series, but on their own terms. So that's what this is, and it looks good. I mean, it is a different flavor than what's Starlight Valley or whatever.
Stardew, yeah.
Stardew Valley.
Well, Stardew Valley was made like in the vein of those kinds of games, but it went off and did different things. So if you want like the simplicity of the originals, where it's just working on your farm, there's no dungeoneering or whatever, like here you go.
There's dungeon stuff in this one though.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think they're trying to catch up.
Huh.
So, at least that's what I gathered from.
Yeah, that sounds like a first then.
Yeah. It looks a little simplistic compared to Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley just has so many features. So.
And it keeps updating.
Yeah, and they just added co-op, like same screen co-op.
Yeah, that's really wild.
Yeah. It's basically an entire game made by one guy, right?
I think so. Yeah, it's like an incredible labor of love.
Yeah, really, really cool. He said he basically almost killed himself making it, though.
Well, yeah, it was like the Cuphead people. They took out like multiple mortgages or some shit to pay for this game. It's like, god damn. I mean, it paid off, but like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he basically like sidelined all of his personal relationships because he was like working on it full time, because time is money at that point, like because he has to basically live off his savings,
you have to like there has to come a point where you get the money back.
Yeah, exactly.
The sooner you finish this game, the sooner you have a chance of recouping your losses.
Yeah. Moving on from that, Surviving the Aftermath was the next thing that was shown. So this was a post-apocalyptic kind of tower defense-y kind of thing. That looked pretty neat, but I don't really have much context for it. And then there was Immortals Phoenix Rising, so that's
is that supposed to be
game.
Phoenix? Like just spelled
Phoenix,
goofy?
Yeah. No, you're right. And that looked like a pretty cool. You know what it looked like? It looked like a Breath of the Wild clone, which I had never expected to see.
But we already have a Breath of the Wild clone. It's well, not necessarily a clone, but like the aesthetic, which is that Genshin Impact game.
Well, no, this is like the gameplay. Like,
okay,
it's very similar to Breath of the Wild. So like even this kind of style, like it's very much aping off of it, and I think it's Ubisoft's attempt at this kind of thing. But it looks good. It looks good for people that want to scratch that itch, and before whenever the hell that sequel's going to come out. Moving on from that, another Bakugan game, Champions of Vestroia. I'm sorry. I don't have any context for this.
Yeah,
series.
I've never touched Bakugan,
but I know some people really love it. So
is Bakugan the not Pokemon game?
You are thinking of Yokai Watch, I think.
No. That's way too new. I think Bakugan might have something somewhat similar. Wasn't there like a GameCube or PS2 game?
I don't know. Yeah, you're correct. This is a very popular amongst a certain like time frame age period. So I know some people really love it. Then the next one is Griflands, which looked pretty interesting. So this one is an RPG that is a deck building based RPG.
Sure.
Like a card based one. It's a roguelite with deck building elements. So
okay.
That looked pretty cool. I like the art style. It was pretty neat.
Oh, by the way, going back to Bakugan for 1 second, I just said it's a card game, but like no, there is a card game, but I think the normal stuff is I don't know how you get the creatures, but you have them fight. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Next one is a successor to a long-running PC series that I have never had much experience with.
Yeah, same.
But it's been around forever. Tropico 6. I remember going into a Software Etc. and seeing this on the wall.
Yep.
Way back in the day, and looking at issues of PC Gamer, like touting how good it was at the time. So, basically SimCity, but it has like parody elements, and you're running like a Banana Republic, but you're basically like a parody of like Fidel Castro in it. I'd imagine that these just get more complicated and get more features over time. So
I don't know why I associate it with this, but like when I think of these parody games from that era, for some reason, I don't even know how many people know about this anymore. But do you remember like Myst? Do you remember?
I was just gonna say Pissed.
Yeah, when are they gonna make a Pissed 2?
That was a real game, like with John Goodman in it. of all people.
Oh, was it? Like
John Goodman was in the game, yeah.
Because like I'm not sure if I'm conflating Pissed with a different Myst clone, but like I thought that like I know there was at least one Myst game where like there was just kind of graffiti all over Mistland, and that was just kind of the whole game. Like, was that Pissed?
Oh, I don't know.
Because there was some game where it's just like Myst, but like there's trash on the ground.
Yeah. No, I think that was basically what Pissed was.
Okay.
It was one of those games that like didn't have much content, if I remember right.
It's almost like a mod.
Yeah, it's supposed to just make you chuckle.
It's like a Doom wide. Like we put this different sprite into the game. Well, all right.
Like its existence is funny.
Yeah, the fact that you could see it on store shelves was like, what? Really?
Yeah. And it looked like the cover looked just like Myst.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
But it was goofy. So, but Tropico was like a legitimate game.
Yes.
But with like a funny style,
Mm-hmm. It's like Saints Row is kind of a funny GTA. Exactly. And I know a lot of the time GTA is a funny GTA, but Saints Row is like, what if it were wacky?
Not at the time though. Like
well, Saints Row 1 and 2 I think were serious. Yeah.
Well, not as much. I mean, they had like the insurance scamming stuff. So
yeah, but 3 got fucking bananas.
Well, three was we're not even talking about 3 yet, but like when 1 came out, people were starved for a GTA game because 4 hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
And it took a long time, and then 4 was super serious. So that was around this time of Saints Row 2.
Yeah,
so
4 was also kind of the black sheep of the series too.
Yeah, it's probably the most serious game in the series. So, but so then when 3 was time to come out, they had to differentiate themselves. So they're like, all right, let's make it fucking bananas now.
Yeah, what if I could beat up people with like a 2-foot purple dildo or whatever it was, or 1 foot? I don't fucking.
Or what is it? A dubstep gun.
Yeah, and then in 4 you could just straight up fly, like whatever.
Yeah, no. And where can you go from there? They still haven't made a proper Saints Row 5.
Yeah, I don't even. It's gonna become Black and White 3 by Peter Molyneux.
Yeah, like what do you do?
Yeah,
you gave everybody the ability to do whatever you want.
A cosmic entity comes in and takes away your powers, and it's just back to super serious GTA style. Everyone gets mad.
Basically. Moving on from that, so this is pretty cool. So you have like pretty big AAA games hitting the Switch with like cloud versions, is what they're called. I basically what I imagine is like they're basically streaming titles.
Yeah.
So it's basically for only if you're like in Wi-Fi. But you have Hitman 3 cloud version. So this is not Hitman 3, but like the third of the reboot.
Yeah. Because like the real Hitman 3 had some name like
Blood Money.
Okay. I was gonna say Absolution, but I was pretty sure that was the fourth.
No, because the first one was just called Hitman, like
Agent 47.
47,
yeah. And the second one was
just Hitman 2.
No, well, Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. And that game is stupid hard.
That's
like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where now I'm an adult, I'd be better, but like that is the one game where I do not know if that's true. Yeah, like that game is crazy hard.
It's too hard for me. These games have gotten more accessible over the time.
Yeah.
So like I would you would be fine with the reboot.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I would, but Hitman 2 is just merciless.
Everybody really likes out of the classic series. Everybody says Blood Money's the best because it's most accessible of those.
Yeah.
But then the reboot series has overshadowed all the old stuff. So
yes,
just play the original reboot game. So, but I mean these games are basically a sandbox. I mean they give you a scenario and they say go kill this person any way you want, just as long as you kill them. And they've gotten more and more elaborate over time, and it's really cool to see what happens in these games.
Yeah, and that's what made Hitman 2 so hard. Is that level 1, you could kill them however you want.
Yeah, you could go around and beat everybody up, and then
you'd probably get destroyed by the 100 security guards. It was like Deus Ex level 1. You could just go shooting, but
there aren't infinite guys though. Like
there aren't. And then and then level 2, you had to like snipe the correct person, and if you mess up, then you just lose. And I didn't know how to figure that out at the time.
Yeah, really hard. Next thing was had no idea that this was coming out, but they're doing a cloud version of Control.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Control. And apparently its DLC has some sort of relevance to Alan Wake, because I didn't realize this, but apparently the Remedy games in general have some sort of cohesiveness. Like thematically, there's relevance to Max Payne. Apparently canonically, there's some degree of connection to Alan Wake, but like there's sort of like
the game in between, right?
Yeah, I forgot what it is, but I think I know what you mean. But like, and also it's like Konami, like the games all reference each other in some wink or another. That's more for Easter egg purposes, though. Yeah,
Remedy. I keep forgetting the second game.
Max Payne 2, obviously.
No, it was Quantum Break. I'm sorry.
Yeah, everybody forgets that game.
Yeah, but that was a good game.
Yeah, and apparently Quantum Break was like kind of what Alan Wake was sort of teasing. Like, if we did make another Alan Wake, it would have kind of been this. Apparently, I don't even know what it is.
Quantum Break was very underrated. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I need to look into that and replay Mad Max and replay Max Payne 1. I've never played Max Payne 2, and I
Max
don't
Payne
even
2
own
is where
that.
it's at.
That's what I hear, and I don't even own Max Payne 3. I at least have the first two.
That one wasn't by Remedy. That was by a different team altogether.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I guess it won't have the little winks. That's one of those things where
oddly enough, Max Payne 3 probably has the best gameplay of the entire series.
But even so, though, like all the connectivity winks, it's one of those things where like when we were talking about Stephen King on the podcast, where people who made Stephen King's movies didn't realize that everything is in the same universe. Yeah. So you're just gonna miss that.
You
like unless you read the books.
You see more of that these days. Like in the Dark Tower book, you saw like Pennywise's stuff.
Yeah, but like when people made the movies, they didn't know that, so you're just not gonna get that. Like there's a lot of stuff like that. Like if a completely different studio made the next Dark Souls game, there would just be a disconnect. It's kind of like Dark Souls 2. There was a degree of connection because it was still FromSoft, but you could tell it didn't feel quite the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on from that, and Control's a good game, so it's definitely seeking.
Yeah, I've heard it's good anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So they Suda51 popped up for the next thing, and basically said that No More Heroes 3 is still on the way. With a new gameplay trailer, which is always good.
Yes, somewhere in 2021.
Yeah, and boy howdy, this was great. Out of nowhere says that No More Heroes 1 and 2 are now on Switch, and just dropped. They're just dropped on the eShop.
Yeah,
so.
And this is significant because No More Heroes 1 was, in a mediocre way, I'll admit, ported to the PS3.
Yeah.
But No More Heroes 2 has just been stuck on the Wii. Like, if you played No More Heroes PS3, then you have a few boss fights from No More Heroes 2. That's as good as it's going to get. So now both No More Heroes games have been, especially the second one, has been rescued from 2 consoles ago.
Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail here because on Thursday we're actually doing a Suda51/Grasshopper podcast to go over everything, go over his legacy, and especially these games because they're his most popular games and we love them. But I am happy to say I downloaded them immediately because me and Lotus both love No More Heroes 1 and 2, and these I can absolutely clarify and confirm that they are the definitive versions of these games. You should buy these if you have a Switch.
Well, here's a question.
Yeah.
Here's a question because I think the PS3 version was the same across all regions, so I probably know the answer to this question. If you're in Europe, if you're in Japan, are we getting blood in NMH1?
I don't know across regions, but I do know that the releases that we got are based off of our region.
Well, that would make sense, yeah.
Yeah, so they're not censored, is what you're saying. So,
because what I'm saying is that, like, back when No More Heroes 1 was out, the American version was the only one that was uncensored, to the point where people actually questioned if that was what was happening, or if everyone else got the real version and America got, like, an ultra-violent version. But that's the real version.
You know Suda51, he likes it violent, so...
Well, no, but that's assumption. What turns out... And I'm not going to go into spoilers here, but there is a certain character who gets dismembered in No More Heroes 1, which they don't show that in the non-American versions because it's violent. But this character comes back at some point in No More Heroes 2. So the question is, does this person have a damn hand or not? And in No More Heroes 2, which I think was universal across all regions, this person had an artificial hand. So the American version is the real version, and everywhere else on planet Earth was censored. I remember back when I Let's Played it, someone in the comments section asked me how I was able to get, like, an uncensored version of the Wii version. I went to the store and bought it. This is just what we got. Yeah.
This is what we got. Well, this is really cool because I don't think it has any involvement from Ubisoft, so he had complete direct control. I think he's publishing it himself.
Oh.
So,
you know what? Actually, this seems like the kind of thing that I could imagine Devolver just jumping right on, especially with the collaboration he seems to have. Well, not collaboration, but like the understanding he seems to have with them.
Sure. No, I think that he was able to just release them like this. So
well, that is great.
I will say this: one of the best things that they did was they said they give you options on how to play the game. So if you want the motion controls, which honestly the motion controls are like some of the best motion controls ever because
they're so loose. Just swing it, it's fine.
They're fun. Like you just flail your arms and like do a suplex.
Why not? Why not just do it?
And also just jerking that lightsaber off in order to
you feel like such a jackass doing that,
so
but that's the
funny,
point.
Though. It's so funny.
It's making fun of the player just straight up, like, you are a loser. You. It's great.
It's so funny. But it is you could play it with a pro controller without any motion controls whatsoever.
Yeah. So when that's also considerate.
A prompt comes on screen, for you to do like an up and a right motion normally with a motion control, it'll do it with sticks.
Yeah, the sticks. Why not? It's acceptable.
The controls are a heck of a lot better as a result.
Speaking of the controls being a heck of a lot better, this is something that I personally would not be affected by, but I recall that when the Mario All-Stars collection came out, or whatever it's called, I heard one problem that people had with the game was that in Sunshine, I think you didn't have an option to choose whether or not the Y-axis was inverted, and a lot of people were really thrown off by that, but apparently they're patching it in. Or it has been patched in or something, so that's gonna make a lot of people happy. That's one of those things though. Like every game ever made has that option.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo, what are you doing? Why was that not already there?
Yeah. No More Heroes has gives you inverted options if you like them on both axes. So I absolutely love this version. I mean the frame rate is killer. It's really really good.
Actually, that kind of makes me think of one thing. Even though you always want better frame rate, like I sometimes get bothered when people are like, oh well, I kind of missed back in my day when you had to wait for a fucking hour for the TV Guide channel to loop,
or for the disc to load while you're
I like it when things were objectively worse, but like I will say though, there's one thing that I actually do kind of like about No More Heroes 1 on the Wii, when you get the best sword in the game and you do like when you do a finishing
slows down to a crawl because
when you do a finishing blow, it hits like everybody on screen. There's something that's enjoyable about knowing that you're so violent it's slowed down the game.
You're bringing the system down to its knees.
Yeah, like there's so much blood, the game runs worse. Like that's kind of amazing.
I mean, it's kind of awesome when you're playing Skies of Arcadia and like you're on that ship and your Dreamcast is revving up.
Yeah, that's something battles. I don't care for.
But I mean, it's objectively better in every way. Like there's no reason to keep your Wii versions, unless they're keepsakes. Like this Switch version, it's everything you want it to be. It's the same thing but better and more options. So, whenever there's a port like this, you're always worried that they'll fuck it up or it won't be as good. And like, why would I even bother with a new one if it's mediocre port or whatever? But this is it. Just trust me on that. This is the version to get, and these are like some of the best like game experiences I've ever had is these two games. So definitely give them a shot. And if you remember loving them, playing them back in the day on the Wii, two of the best Wii games out there. Like
this is one of few games that I was hyped for and got on day one. Like I don't usually do that unless it's like a collector's edition or something I think will disappear. But I was like, I have to play No More Heroes. Like I saw that trailer, I was like, I was sold. Made by the guy who made Killer 7, yes please.
Yeah, exactly. And it did not disappoint.
It did not.
Yeah. Moving on from this, I was actually really happy about this because in my recommendations for games that I suggest on mobile, I don't have many because it's not my preferred platform. I don't. It's the Room, like the Room series. I love those games. but not all of them have made it to console or PC yet. So I still say, some of the
I've played
games,
the ones I can on Steam, and it does feel like it would probably play a little better on mobile. But I like being able to play the game like when I want and not and not lose it when my phone upgrades.
Exactly. But they've been really good about it. Like Fireproof Games has been really good at keeping them updated. You can still play them on. I don't think they've been
and they are great games, by the way.
Yeah, no, they're great. But typically, I don't have very many mobile games that I recommend, because I'm not the kind of gachapon guy. I'm not a big into that kind of gameplay. I know some people are, it's your thing. That's cool. I'm not into the ARG stuff. I'm not like into Pokemon Go or anything like that. So where does that leave me? And games that obviously don't come out on console.
That leaves you with bad ports of games you could get anywhere else.
Exactly. So there's a few other games. I mean, there's Pin Out, which I absolutely love. It's an infinite pinball game that keeps going up and up and up. I absolutely love it, and it's like a time attack. Your high score is like how quickly you do it, that kind of thing. And the music's just phenomenal. But another one that I've suggested in the past was Part-Time UFO, which is a game made by HAL Laboratory.
Oh.
So HAL Laboratory is, of course, the makers of Smash Brothers and Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of did this as a side project, and it's a lot of fun. So in this game, you're a tiny little cute UFO, pixelated UFO, that needs money for some reason, and gets a bunch of part-time jobs by basically doing a crane game kind of thing, by stacking things and picking up items. And they give you a bunch of per level, they give you a bunch of tasks and like secret tasks to do. Like if one of the tasks might be building like an ancient Japanese palace has fallen over, and you need to stack it back up. And stacking it in the correct order will get you more points. And like grabbing like a guy in the background that doesn't look like he should be able to be grabbed will be a bonus or something like that. So it's a lot of fun. It's very charming. It's a lot of fun. They finally released it on Switch. I was shocked to hell. I just thought it was really, really amazing. So I definitely recommend it. It's pretty cheap too. I think it's $6.99, $7.99, something like that. Very excited for that. And Lotus might play it now. So.
Well, that's true. If it's on console, then it has a chance.
Sure. And then moving on from that, just a kind of a last trailer here for Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, which is the Breath of the Wild prequel, Warriors game.
Yeah. One thing I learned about that, by the way, is that apparently there's some sort of save data carryover from Breath of the Wild, so it'll pay to play that first.
Neat. I'm just excited to be able to play as the the Guardians or the Champions or whatever they're called.
Oh, no kidding! Yeah.
You get to play as those awesome characters that you needed their help in Breath of the Wild, even though they were dead. I mean, I love stuff like that. Like in all of the Warriors games, it's like, guess what? You could play as this character too. Like, what? I also kind of like that, like the prequel where things are doomed.
Yeah. Let's see how this final cutscene happens.
Yeah,
Can't wait to see where that goes.
Exactly.
Be like freaking Halo Reach.
So that was the end of the Nintendo Direct mini partner showcase, the final one of the year, and I just thought there was a lot of really cool stuff, especially that No More Heroes stuff. You could tell how happy I was about that. But I downloaded those immediately, and don't sleep on those. Those are awesome games. Moving on from that, there were some other really cool things that happened this week. You have Samurai Showdown, the newest game in the series. I have to say, like, that every time. But,
the current gen game that's just called Samurai Showdown.
It apparently is doing really freaking well because it's releasing DLC constantly, which is really cool. They revealed that they are doing a crossover character with Last Blade.
Very appropriate.
Which I don't think they've ever crossed over.
I don't think Samurai Showdown doesn't really cross over like anyway. I don't know if they ever have. The closest I can think of is like one character mentioned Mai at some point. I think Genon or something, but like that wasn't a like there weren't guest characters that I'm aware of.
They're not even in the King of Fighters games.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is how Maru is playable in Capcom versus SNK2, and Genjiro and fucking Earthquake. Hamaru and Nakaruro, I should say. Genjiro and fucking Earthquake are playable in SVC Chaos. But I don't know about other cross. Well, Hamaru's in Soul Calibur 6, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But this game is excellent and really great. And Last Blade was their other samurai series, but was even more the style of it was even more like every single move
deliberate.
Very much counts.
Because in Samurai Showdown, it looks and kind of feels like a traditional fighting game, but then you hit someone with a heavy attack and they lose like a third of their health, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean it's even more so with Last Blade. Last Blade is just like 2-3 hits.
Last Blade is the Rainbow Six of sword fighting games.
More like it's like
Bushido Blade
game.
Yeah, that game, man. When the first time you ever play that game, you think that health bar actually means something.
Yeah, nah. And even if you do when you get hit, you get crippled anyway. So like,
you're either dead or you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly. So I just thought that was cool. They didn't reveal what character it will be. They just said who it won't be. I think it won't be the main character. But
the only Last Blade character whose name I know at all is Hibiki, because she was also in Capcom vs. SNK2.
It might be that one that it ends up being. Because I think they said in the announcement that it's not the main character, but it's a fan favorite. So that it might be Hibiki.
Regarding Samurai Showdown crossovers, like again, I should mention this is the first time I think anybody has crossed over into a Samurai Showdown game.
No, there was a character from a Ubisoft game recently in Samurai, the newest Samurai Showdown.
Well, in the new... Okay, let me rephrase. The new Samurai Showdown game is the only one that has had guest characters, I should say. Because, they've crossed over with Capcom vs. SNK2, but, like, no one's ever joined a Samurai Showdown game until this new one. The cutest they've ever gotten...
from For Honor.
That makes sense. Yeah. But like the cutest Samurai Showdown's ever gotten is in one of the newer games. You could play as the ref with the flags.
Gonsong Lee from Honor of Kings was actually the first one. It was an iOS Android title.
Didn't know about that because
they were in
it's
the base
iOS.
roster. They were in the base roster. But yeah,
got me there.
Yeah, I don't know. So if you take a look at Season 3 in Wikipedia, it just says the Last Blade character.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want?
Yeah, exactly. Let me double check here what was said. It said he said, nope, actually there's someone fans adore, and of course we'll be balancing and adjusting the game as well. So
okay.
So he said it wasn't Genbu no Okina, which is
I don't know anybody in that game except for Hibiki.
Last Blade was popular amongst fighting game fans back on the Dreamcast. Like that's where it was mainly played at home. So like that should tell you how obscure the series has become, because like Last Blade 2 was a game that hardcore SNK fans played on the Dreamcast back in the day. So or if you had an AES back in the day, I guess, but
which you didn't, because no one did.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I was friends with a rich kid, and he did not have a Neo Geo, because fuck that.
I have an MVS now.
Now.
Yeah. But anyway, in the same breath, they also released on the Switch, out of nowhere, the next Neo Geo Pocket Color port of Last Blade, the version of Last Blade from the Neo Geo Pocket Color.
That's pretty rad.
Fucking grateful for it. So once again, these are the best versions of these games that have ever been released.
Yeah, because you don't need a link cable to play multiplayer.
Yeah, you can play it all on one screen, and all of the fighting games that they have released have been fantastic. It's Gals Fighters. There has been a
Samurai Shodown 2.
Samurai Showdown 2, and King of Fighters.
That I don't know. I don't remember.
I just hope that they are going to release like the Metal Slug games at some point. I hope that, and eventually, I would absolutely love the Capcom versus SNK games. Just like put them all on there, like the card fighter games, and
yes,
and the Match of the Millennium game, but they would require Capcom playing along with it. So who the hell knows? Moving on from that, just had to say this because this is SNK related. God, man, this was a misstep. Did you see this?
Oh, I'm the one who put this in the notes.
Oh, okay. All right. I took note of it, so I wasn't sure whether I had done it
Basically, there's an SNK-Allstar fighter. It's a mobile title. Yeah. And they put out like a new trailer for it with like 90s humor, where you see Kula, Mai, and what's her name, Blue Mary, just chilling at a bar. They're each on their just bar stools drinking or whatever. And Terry's driving by on a motorcycle. I guess that's his thing.
Vespa. I think it's a Vespa.
Why not? Yeah. And as he passes them by, he smacks them each on their asses. But it's very 90s humor because that was a thing back then. There would be sexual harassment, but then the guy gets like smacked in the face and sent across the room, and so now we're even. So basically, like he like wipes out on his motorcycle or Vespa or whatever the fuck, and then they like kick his ass. But like, this isn't 30 years ago. That was in very poor taste, so it got a lot of backlash to the point where SNK came in and they were like, "Yeah, that's not cool. We're gonna deal with this shit." And then the trailer got pulled.
I mean, I appreciate that they did the right thing, but also they said that we never authorized it, and I was like, yes, you did. Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up. You don't have control
SNK was just sitting back on their chair with their feet up on the table. Let them do whatever they want with our intellectual property.
Yeah, go to hell. You knew what you were doing. You just didn't realize people would get.
You just didn't realize it was 30 years after that shit was popular.
Yeah, very tone deaf, in this environment. I think
Also, well, not only was it tone deaf, but as Mr. Ryu pointed out on Twitter, Kula's underage. Mai is his brother's wife.
Yeah.
And Blue Mary is I don't know if she's his girlfriend or his love interest, but like, the fuck were like that's a terrible idea for three completely different, very big reasons. What the fuck are you thinking?
No, it's
not to mention the fact that they're all King of Fighters characters, so they all have crazy magic powers they can kick your ass with anyway. Like, what are you doing?
I heard somebody mention this, that this is typical of mobile game marketing. It's very sexualized and stupid. And but not that it's an excuse, but like just to give you kind of a maybe they thought they needed to do something like this in order to get attention.
Well, I mean, again, go back to the 90s and watch anime. It's just like someone gets offended, and then you're like, yeah, that was just a thing.
Yep.
Watch this other series. You'll see it there, too.
It's fucked.
Remember that time in Dragon Ball where there's, like, frontal nudity in, like, episode fucking 1?
Yeah, no, it's fucked up. For somebody who's very obviously underage. Yeah.
Yeah, like, no kidding, yeah.
But anyway, moving on. This was just pretty cool. Strife is out on Switch, in the newest version, so... This, of course, was the open world first-person adventure title that using the Doom engine. So very impressive. This was an official game that had RPG elements and stuff, and they made it using the Doom engine. Really, really cool stuff. And it's all cleaned up and made playable and accessible on the Switch, so probably the same veteran edition that's been floating around on Steam and GOG. But I mean, it's a great game, and it's that's a pretty fun way to play it. So I just wanted to give that a quick shout out. Also, out of nowhere, Fangamer revealed a Mystical Ninja starring Goemon merch line.
Yeah, it's like when they did nowhere. The Sunset Rider stuff. Oh, okay.
Well. See, I don't know whether that was coincidence or they did it to help promote the arcade archives release of Sunset Riders that like came out like almost like half a year later.
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean, Goemon, there's been like 20 games, but like
yeah, but we
nothing
haven't
recently.
had an official. I mean, the only reason why he's been in the news is because of fan translations recently. So,
yeah.
This makes me think maybe a collection might be on the horizon, but
that'd be killer because America only ever got like what 3 games?
Yeah,
like the first
Boy
SNES one, and then the 2 Game Boy, excuse me.
Yeah,
but yeah, the first SNES one, and then the 2 N64 games. That's all I got, and apparently a Game Boy one, I guess.
Yeah. There's 4 of them, and
there's what, like literally 20 games in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 4 Famicom games. There's
4 SNES games.
Yeah. 4 SNES games. A couple Game Boy games,
and both N64 games, of course. I think there's a mediocre PS1 game. Yeah,
PlayStation 1 game. Yeah, so and crazy stuff. But a vinyl of the first SNES games soundtrack, which is
it's a good soundtrack.
Yeah, which is really great. A T-shirt that looks really great, based on the mystical ghost that him and Abizumaru are fighting. This is great. They're selling a poster called "I Am Impact" with the giant
the giant
mech from the 4th game.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I thought it was from the N64 game, but apparently no, that was a nod. By the way, I will say this: the big robot, when you're piloting it before the boss fight, when you're just doing the on a rail section on the N64 game, there's like a song playing with lyrics by the Japanese Dragon Ball Z guy, the Chala Hechala guy.
Yeah.
Who's got that like super forceful like way of singing. It's so damn good.
And a set of 4 pins as well. So like this is not like a simple like one and done item.
This is a big deal. Yeah, it's not just a Sunset Riders wallet. Yeah, this is a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, Sunset Riders wallet and a T-shirt. That was it. So
I mean, a T-shirt. Okay.
The vinyl alone is really cool. I would say out of the stuff here, actually only the pin I'm not interested in. I might even get that poster.
And you know what? That vinyl lines up with your Konami collection.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. You know it's a double set too. So
no kidding.
It's $39, but it's gonna be worth it for me.
Here's a question. I mean, this is coming out of nowhere, right? Because you were saying, oh, what if they're going to localize a bunch of games? Just if they do, I hope they retranslate the Super Nintendo game, because there's a lot of westernization in it.
Yeah, no, in fact, there has been a fan restoration of that original title recently.
The main thing I remember is that the Kappas are called goblins because Americans didn't know what Kappas were, and even now, mostly not really.
The big thing is that they renamed the characters. Goemon is called Kid Yang, and Abizumaru is called Dr.
something
Yang.
Yeah.
Dr. Yang, yeah. So, but
which is no.
No. But I'm excited for this. I just got my Sound Machine vinyl, by the way. There, Lotus.
Ooh,
yeah,
very nice.
It's a wonderful. They really went to the nines on it.
I want to hear that fucking bass on Pac-Man. That do 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 do. It's not really bass, but just let that impact.
Yeah, they we're talking about the latest Gorillaz album here. They also gave me a digital code for the digital version. So
very nice.
I thought it was great, but the liner notes and everything, and
the bullshit lyrics.
the sleeve is awesome. So it's really cool. But yeah, I've been vinyl crazy lately because lots of Konami games still are getting releases here. But
yep.
Moving on from that,
you know what you need is a separate vinyl for each of the 16 versions of Snatcher.
I have Snatcher as it is. I think they gave us.
I want look up the MSX sound, Pleasure of Tension. The MS, because the Sega CD version, the one that we got, is very video gamey. But the MSX version is super moody. It's very it's a very, very different attitude.
Yeah, I think that it's also like FN Synthy, whereas
Mm-hmm.
the one that we have is Red Book. So let me see what they on that vinyl. What? Okay, so they captured it using a Model One stereo modded Sega Genesis with Model Two Sega CD attached. So there you
Very
go. They tell
nice.
you exactly which one, which version of it. So, but yeah. The MSX version is too. But moving on from
It's
that.
moody, yeah.
Moving on from that, just wanted to remind you that Pikmin 3 Deluxe came out on Switch. Do not forget about it because it's a good game, and I just ordered it myself. I can't wait for it. Also, our boy Lazrul had a release over
Oh boy.
the weekend. So, the Warlock Bentspine Toilet Edition
Wait a
was.
minute, I didn't know Brent Spiner was a warlock.
So this game is uncharacteristically an action title. Very reminiscent of like Caro Blaster, or kind of a simplistic kind of Mega Man ish title. So I'm excited to play this, it
Yes.
was released for free, and it looks ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like,
Lazarul, fucking start charging for your
yeah,
stuff.
I like even charging
Like $1,
you're
I don't
probably
know.
not thinking it's worth it, but like Jesus Christ, so I would pay I would pay a lot of money for your games as it is, because I'm a huge fan. But like,
Lazarul, talk to Limited Run Games. Release your fucker trilogy.
yeah, I mean, like, at least get us for $1, man. Like,
Yeah.
come on. I want to give you my money. I would, in a heartbeat, pay $5 or $10 for your games. But like, I think a lot of people would pay $5 for your games. So like, do it, man. You make quality, hilarious stuff. But I on Twitter I said, any chance that I can have access to the non-toilet edition? And he said no. Just
I mean,
flat
Vice,
out no.
you're overstepping your boundaries there. What were you thinking? You
I
think you
mean,
could just not get the toilet edition when it clearly says toilet edition?
the non-toilet edition, please.
Yeah, well, what is this?
But yeah, I just wanted to give a quick plug there, and just as kind of like the fan stuff that happened this week, so every once in a while I talk about like a fan release or something like that. So somebody made a hack of the game Metal Slug 6. So Metal Slug 6, unlike the previous Metal Slugs 1 through 5 and Metal Slug X, were Neo Geo games. They were for the Neo Geo MVS or AES or Neo Geo CD. Any of those game systems that played those arcade games, right? The sixth game had graduated from the Neo Geo system, as it were, and was released on the Atomis Wave system, which was kind of a successor to the Neo Geo, because it was made by it was a joint venture of SNK, Sega, and Sammy at the time. And basically, what it was another cartridge-based system. It just had more RAM and all that other kind of stuff. But apparently, the Atomis Wave is very similar to the Dreamcast, to the point where they were able to make small adjustments to Metal Slug 6 on the Atomis Wave and port it directly to the Dreamcast. So it's actually running natively. It's not an emulation, which is really, really impressive. So like, if you have an optical drive emulator for the Dreamcast, or you can burn a CD, you can play Metal Slug 6.
Very nice.
And apparently it runs better than the emulated version on the PS2. In the anthology, if you have the Metal Slug anthology on PS4, this will run even better because it's a native port, which is really, really neat. This also opens up the possibility for a lot of other Atomis Wave games to be ported to the Dreamcast. So it was a kind of a really cool deal that it happened. Like, apparently the guy who did it revealed that it's very possible to get other games working on the Dreamcast, which I'm always for that kind of stuff, because I love art. A lot of the games that were on the Atomis Wave, kind of had like janky ports or didn't get ported at all. There are some pretty famous games. Guilty Gear Azuka.
Oh, that one, yeah, Isuka, yeah. Isuka? That was the game where you had to like press a button to turn around.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one that introduced Robo-Kai.
Yes. Yeah, and it kind of had a beat-em-up component to it, I think. In the PS2 version, at least.
I believe there was a 3D Guilty Gear where you ran around, but I think Isuka might have been a fighter.
That's Guilty Gear 2, I think you're thinking of.
I am, yeah. Okay, yeah. I guess I am. But I thought Isuka was still just a fighting game, but there were just like 3 or 4 people on screen or something. It was weird.
Yeah, it's like a 4-player game or something like that. But yeah. Other games that were released, Dolphin Blue is apparently a really fun run and gun. Fist of the North Star from Axis or Arc System Works.
Oh yeah, the game that was Japanese only PS2.
Yeah. So that's cool. Guilty Gear X 1.5 was on there.
Yeah, I was gonna say regular X was that Dreamcast or was that X2?
No, that's Dreamcast. So this is
X2 is PS2. Excuse me.
This is the updated version of the Dreamcast one.
Okay.
Metal Slug 6, Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, speaking of.
Oh, that's another PS2 release. Mm-hmm. Where you could play as some weird characters, like Mars people from Metal Slug.
Yeah, it was yeah, I remember that.
And Marco, of course.
Marco.
Yeah, heavy machine gun.
Was it Savage Rain characters, too? Jesus. Aggressors.
Yeah, and like Geese Howard, because why not?
Yeah, no, Athena was in there. Oh man,
they really like you don't know what characters are going to show up.
Yeah, even crazier than King of Fighters. Samurai Showdown 6 was on there, so 6 hardly ever has. Does have some modern ports, thankfully, but
it's on the Samurai Showdown anthology on PS2 and Wii, but I can't think of anything outside of that.
No, you can get the native port on PS4.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, they have like a Code Monkeys version, which is a Code Mystics version that is quite good. That it's standalone, but it's really
okay.
Good. King of Fighters Neo Wave, which is pretty fun. King of Fighters 11, which never gets ported. It's been ported once, and never again. And 11 was a lot of fun. It's not perfectly balanced, but it was a lot of fun because it had characters from Goro Mark of Wolves in it.
Was that the one where the boss was Magaki? Because that guy was some bullshit.
I mean, it's an SNK.
He like opens portals and shoots beams through them, and the portals open elsewhere and come at you, and you're like, what?
I forget. Magaki,
I'll have to look it up. I'll look it up.
That's correct. No, it is.
It is? Right. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, but there was a bunch of PS2 exclusive characters, so I hope that port gets ported sometime soon, because King of Fighters 11 is stuck on PS2 and the Thomas Wave, so I mean that kind of stinks. And the PS2 version is obviously better, And then so like you have some classics here that barely have any love. So and the ports that do exist for them aren't extremely perfect. So a native port to the Dreamcast would do the trick. I think it would be a really good thing. Moving on from that, this was pretty crazy. Sony is purchasing Crunchyroll for almost $1 billion. Did you see that?
Yeah, I've seen some discomfort about that because Sony already has Funimation, so like if they get Crunchyroll as well, then that's like
a monopoly
that's pushing monopoly on just anime. Yeah.
I wouldn't be too scared because Netflix does a pretty hefty anime
They do
business.
have a bunch.
Yeah.
But I don't like the idea of there being only 2 places.
Yeah, consolidation of companies is not a good thing. Consolidation of big companies, I should say. So, it is never a good thing. People lose their jobs, and you lose competition, and there's homogeneity. It gets involved. You want.
Competition is what pushes companies to like actively do better.
Yeah, I mean,
otherwise it's like, well, it's us or don't get it, so fuck yourself.
Crunchyroll has always kind of had that scrappy feel to it. Like they're like, they started off humbly, and then kind of, they had a lot of fan engagement too. So like, I always liked Crunchyroll. There are people out there, who'll be like, oh, they didn't do this or they didn't do that, or they charge. But I don't want to pay for anime. Those people bug the fuck out of me.
Yeah, well, then go pirate. You pirate.
Yeah, I mean, like, pirate when you have to. That's the only time I condone piracy, is like pirate when you can't get it anywhere else. Like,
yeah, I tried to give you my money, you wouldn't take it, so exactly. Guess what?
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I think I don't like it, but I see Sony, at least they're trying to stay competitive with Microsoft by doing a different thing. And Sony's also like, a big Japanese company, so they're kind of retaining some of their Japanese identity by having a major anime service like this. So, yeah. But moving on from that, I just wanted to say a quick rest in peace about Sean Connery this week. Obviously a legendary actor. You saw all of his films on the Bond.
Well, side. I saw all those Bond films. Yeah,
that's what I meant.
And they were good ones. And Goldfinger, even though it's only the third movie in all the Bond movies, I mean, unless you count the original Casino Royale, but you know what I mean. It's the third of the Fleming Bond movies. It's still like top 3, possibly top 1. That's a tough one though, because like GoldenEye, and also Man with the Golden Gun. It's all gold. Well, and actually, the new Casino Royale is a banger as well.
I was gonna say Casino Royale and Skyfall are both really fucking good.
I like Skyfall, but Casino Royale easily tops it for me. But Goldfinger is real good.
Yeah. Yeah. I've only ever seen Goldfinger actually. In its totality, I've seen bits and pieces of all Sean Connery's, but I actually hear from Russia with Love is a underrated.
That's a good one. Yeah. It is. I think that was the second one.
It's the second one, yeah.
That's a good one.
First is Dr. No, which is a little slow side.
Yeah, well, I saw that movie, part of it, when I was a kid, and I couldn't stand it because the first Bond movie I ever saw was GoldenEye. Sure. So I expected Bond to be pretty much an action movie. And then I saw Dr. No, and I was bored to tears. So when we started watching the Bond movies with our friends, like in college, well, post-college, but we have to open with Dr. No. And I was not happy about that. But it turns out I quite liked it the second time around because it's not just slow. Like, he's doing spy stuff. Like, there's a whole scene where he gets a hotel room, and he's just deliberately taking the painting off the wall, looking in the mirror, and, like, checking for bugs. Yeah. But, like, when you're a kid, and you're coming off of, like, GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies, you're like, when does the action happen? Yeah, and there's actually very little straight-up action in that movie.
In fact, they don't get like really campy until Roger Moore's stuff.
It doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be camp. It's just like there's not much action, and even when there's a fight, it's pretty quick. Even in GoldenEye, or
he did have a jetpack in one of them though. Like
that was some bullshit.
Connery. Yeah.
But then that might have been more. But even in Goldfinger, I'm
pretty sure Sean Connery had a jetpack.
Maybe it was. But even in Goldfinger, there's not that much action. There's more than in Dr. No for sure. But yeah, Roger Moore's when it starts getting very like wink at the screen, like an explosion is behind him and he adjusts his cufflinks, stuff like that. That's where they started getting cute with Bond and it got a little more cartoony. Moore has his own charm. That's one thing I like about each of the Bonds is they have their particular quirk.
Lazenby's a very underrated one because like his movies.
It was in one movie.
Yeah, but it's good though, right?
It is good and it's legitimately emotional.
Yeah. So that
was on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah, with Jane Seymour in that. Oh yeah. But anyway, I should mention that he's also a controversial figure, Sean Connery. He was a piece of shit in his personal life. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and apparently, I don't know about across the board, but at least for, of all movies to mention, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen apparently was difficult to work with.
Well, that was his last movie, so
it was his last movie, but he also, he also wanted like heavy changes to the script regarding his character because he read what was like the adaptation of his character for the source material, where he really
Alan
barely
Quartermain.
had anything to do. He was like a has-been drunk, and he's like, "Fuck that, I'm not doing that." So
But
he's like has more of an actual role in the movie.
yeah. Apparently, he was a woman abuser in his personal
Yes,
life.
so I've heard.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there is no excuse for that. So don't think that we're condoning that at all. In fact, we're very sensitive to it.
Yeah.
But he was an iconic figure, and some of his movies were, regardless of his personal behavior, were really great. And so
and also, even though it was only voiceover, shout out to Dragonheart, because that was like that's a solid movie.
I mean, I like The Rock with Nicolas Cage. I was a fan of that one.
I'm sorry to say I have not seen that one, but apparently that was originally supposed to be some kind of Bond movie.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that you can easily just hand wave it and say that his character was Bond, and that's why he was in Alcatraz. Like, you could just say
okay. And there was also
and it would fit
if you care, Highlander.
Oh, I love Highlander. I love the original Highlander.
Ramirez and Highlander. Like, yeah, okay, fine.
Highlander 2 is one of the worst movies ever made.
Well, I mean, any Highlander fan will tell you there's only one Highlander movie, the first one, and even that's like okay.
Yeah, and one series. Only one of the series is good. Television series.
Yeah, the cartoon, obviously.
Actually, the anime's not bad. The anime's not bad, but
it was good enough to. Well, there was also, I think, just a straight up cartoon.
Yeah, the cartoon is fucking garbage.
Which was so good that it got a Atari Jaguar adaptation.
Highlander's like one of those series where I wonder who the fuck owns the IP, because like there are so many disparate like entries in the series, and none of them seem to correlate or have good continuity.
Well, speaking of good continuity, the second movie, I don't think to this day is available with the theatrical cut, which explained that the Highlanders are fucking aliens.
It's available on streaming, actually.
The theatrical cut?
Yeah.
The one that they didn't want anybody to see, that has zero presence on home distribution for like decades?
I watched it.
Aliens from the Planet Zeist is on streaming?
It's on Prime Video, yeah.
Well, of course it's on Prime, but like the one that says they're aliens from Zeist,
yes,
that's on Prime?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I watched it like a month ago.
Wow. All right.
I saw them battle on Zeist.
Holy shit.
I actually wanted to see it, and I got halfway through it and fell asleep. So
you didn't like Dr. Perry Cox from Scrubs with the name Katana?
I want to go back to it and watch it, because it's one of those bad movies. It's really fun to watch because it's just god awful, but what the hell, and it was made by the people who made the original one. That's what's so weird about it. You had the people that had the good artistic vision, and then they fucked it all up in the second one. Just got too ambitious, I guess, but whatever. It's a weird ass movie. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. He has a few other classics. You have Zardoz, right? Zardoz.
I've actually seen that one. It's it's pretty much forgettable, except for his ridiculous costume and the giant head spitting out guns. The gun is good, the penis is evil. If you've seen that, you've seen the movie. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, he had a bunch of semi hits back in the 90s. I mean, you had Entrapment with Catherine Zeta-Jones. A few others like that, but it's the Bond movies that people are primarily,
of course,
all about. And
Indiana Jones and
Indiana
the
Jones
Last
3.
Crusade.
Yeah, Indiana Jones 3 is actually a fantastic movie. I actually really like that one. That might be one of my favorites. That and the first one are all you need.
Yeah,
they're really fucking good. And let's see here. Anything else that you want to mention for the good of the order there, Lotus?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, so that will be the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. Come on, guys. I need it. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast Corrective Consciousness, where we will have a wonderful review of the life and times of Suda51 and Grasshopper Manufacturer. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything.
And you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, like Dino Crisis 2, seeing exclusive live streams.
What a good game.
Found my place. Yeah, it's a good game. Selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Twitter, then on Discord. Nailed it. Then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince. Flawless victory.
I don't know about all that, but we will catch you on Thursday, everybody. Thank you so much.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.